Hiya photography students! First off, just a quick recap. We've actually passed the first week for your light project. So in your Google Doc I should be able to see your light and photography mind map. Make sure you put the link underneath if it's on Miro, and make sure you just photographed it well enough for me to read the text if it's in your sketchbook. Then you should have 3 research pages, so that will be the 3 different kinds of light that you want to shoot in. Okay, so here's my example for Blue Hour photography. Just a quick thing to point out, you can't just screenshot stuff and not say anything about it, and you've got to be quite specific as well, so you can't just screenshot stuff and put the links there. If you've done that, that's more like a C or a D, because remember the A2 assessment criteria is tougher. So what you've got to do is point out examples of what you've learned. So here where I've said what to photograph, I've actually pointed out which ones I'm most interested in, what I'd learn about what I'd need with me for the portrait ones. From the actual YouTube video, I haven't just said this has helped me with Blue Hour photography, I've listed examples there of the things that I've learned specifically from it. And also that I'm thinking about multiple possibilities, so I'm not limited myself just to one thing in case it doesn't work out. Okay, so now I'll quickly take you through the PowerPoint for this week. So, in terms of a quick recap, remember that what I'm actually assessing you against is really looking for the quality of that light. So what you really need to think about is moving and altering your position as you shoot, and you're thinking about where the light is in the frame. So for example, do you want your subject backlit? Is it going to have the light coming from the side? Do you want any shadows in the shot, and what are the shadows doing? Are they acting like leading lines to draw the viewer in? Also thinking carefully about the best time to shoot as well. Also, like a massive top tip is to shoot across multiple days. So in my example there, I did Blue Hour, so I can't just rely on doing one really short 30-minute shoot, because you won't be an expert, and doing something just once doesn't mean you're going to necessarily get good results. So what I'd recommend you do is do it on a couple of days. So like for example there, Blue Hour on 4 different days. And then any things that you do learn on location when you're out and you're shooting and you're doing it, make notes in your phone. So things like the setup, camera settings, good locations, how you overcame a problem, and that'll help you prep for your next shoot as well. So like day 2, day 3, and they don't have to be consecutive either. So really bear that in mind and look back to the last PowerPoint as well. So, in terms of your time plan, the research week has gone, and now we've actually got 3 more weeks of focus. What's really good about this is that means that you've got like 3 separate weeks to focus on each different shoot. So make sure you really plan what it is you're going to do. Now I'll just make this a little bit bigger a second. I've pulled the weather forecast today, and obviously it's not amazing, is it really? Look at that. So I would definitely recommend that you maybe prioritise either low light or artificial light shoots first. There are some alright days, and some of the clouds in the sky like this here might actually work well for your sets, but just bear in mind you'll need to be flexible as well. So say for example these are my low light set, and a couple of them I want to go outside and do. I'd look here and think like, when's my best weather days? Probably Wednesday would be a really good one, so I might save that one for my outside one. And then because I'm trying some other ideas, maybe I'd plan them early week as well, where I've got a bit more sun if I wanted to use natural light. Maybe I've got a bit of a buffer zone there on the Saturday, but the temperature's really dropping there, and also I'm getting a bit of rain, but that might be nice for reflections. But Sunday I can see that it's pretty much awful. So that's when I'll be doing my editing, so that I've got that prepped there. So make sure you keep checking the weather forecast. Also check your timings as well, so when blue or golden hour will actually occur. If you're doing something that requires a lot of sunshine or natural light, or you need to be outside, I'd maybe leave that for week 3. Make sure that you're trying multiple ideas as well, so you're not limiting yourself to just one thing. So here I've looked at windows where light meets dark. You can see it's quite overcast there, so that was probably a rubbish outside weather day. Here I've got this idea of like silhouetting against like the really low lit back sunshine of the sunset. And then I've also thought about interior here, so that's the street light cast in to my front room from the window outside. So make sure you're trying multiple possibilities. In your Google Doc, I just want to see your practical work. So screenshots of your camera roll or a contact sheet of some kind, however you've uploaded your images. And then your 6 best edited images, and I'll talk about 2 apps in a second. So I've put together a little set here of mine, and I've said that I've made sure that these have worked well together. So because a lot of these images are from my Instagram, a lot of them are square, so I've cropped to make sure that they're all square. I've got limited use of colour here, so there's just like a little bit of a warm tone that comes through. And then I've got 2 black and white conversions, because both had really like strong contrast where the light meets the dark. And then I've got 2 more pairings left as well. So I've got 2 of the sunset images and then 2 window images. And then I'm saying that these 2 are more abstract as well. So 2 sunset there, 2 where I can see the shape and the form of the actual window, and these become more abstract and less representational there. So a couple of apps that I'd really recommend are Snapseed and Lightroom, both of which are free. So here, this is what Snapseed looks like. So you can add your images in, giving it access to your camera roll. You can play around with different filters, so I've used that one there to actually drop the colour out. If you press Tools, you actually get more options. So the palette looks like this. So you can use curves, and you can actually affect that S-curve. So you could actually drop your highlights a little bit, push your shadows a little bit more for balance, or you could try some of the presets along the bottom. Something that's good that tends to be paid for in other apps is maybe using Dodge and Burn, or using the healing brush tool, so you can erase bits that maybe like lens flare or distractions that you don't want, or you could actually highlight certain areas and make them lighter or make them darker, but just make sure whatever you're doing is super subtle. Okay? And then make sure you do save a copy, because that means that you won't overwrite the original and you'll still have both to put in your Google Doc. So play around with Snapseed and see what you think about it. Rather than doing lots of screenshots, I've linked you up, so make sure you view it as a slideshow and you can click through to see this all about how to use Lightroom. Now Lightroom's really good because it's part of the Adobe family. There's actually a Lightroom desktop app that you can use as well. It's just as good as Photoshop, and a lot of photographers actually use that over Photoshop at the moment. So Lightroom's a really good one to explore. Remember, this lady's a bit of a blogger, so you don't want to be doing anything that's too destructive to your photos. So make sure you don't add any noise or grain, you're not pushing the actual colours or pushing anything to make it look unnatural. This project is all about quality of light, like I said at the beginning, so it's got to be about that, and they've got to look real, like real life, enhanced, but not unnatural. So make sure you're thinking about working them together, so don't crop each one a different size or width or anything like that. What's really good is the previous option as well. So the fact that you could edit maybe one photo, say you're doing Blue Hour Architecture, and you really like the editing for that photo and it's great, you can kind of save it as a preset and then apply it to all of the images that you edit after that. So a bit like making a filter. That's a really good thing that you could use. She mentions more about the tonal curve in her video, so I've linked up the other video to that there as well. But you guys already know how to work with that in Photoshop, but she does make some good points about still keeping the image look enhanced but not unnatural. Also, click through on this one and that will give you a link to some other key points about getting started in Lightroom. And then what I've put at the end of the PowerPoint is basically how I want you to lay stuff out. So a contact sheet, your edits and originals, and then just a grid of them together. So if I jump back into my Google Doc there, after my 3 research pages, I title it my shoot for low light. I've got my contact sheet in there or a screenshot. If you guys are having trouble working on cameras on the actual desktop of your computer, what you could do is you could upload them straight to Google Drive, and then you can open that from your phone as well, so that'll make it easily accessible for you to be able to edit on your mobile phone. So here I've just shown how I've edited them. So from the original to the edited version, you guys would do that for all 6 and then put your actual set together there. Mine work as a grid like that because they're square, but what you might want to do is pairings, so like 2 portraits, 2 landscapes. You see what I mean? So I can see them all on one page to see that they work together as a set. That's what I'm after. What I will do later is I will write a series of evaluation questions because I don't want the evaluation to get out of control. We're not going to do 3 separate evaluations. We'll do one where we compare the 3 sets and we'll say what we've learnt from it. So what I've actually done is made a bit of a checklist here for you guys. So you can see here that these are all of the different tasks that we've undertaken. So you guys can use this like a checklist to make sure you get yourself caught up to date if you've got any gaps or anything missing. But like you can see, the light shoots take the next 3 weeks. So what's good about it is it can be a bit flexible. So if we do get madly good sunshine one day this week, you can still take advantage of it and still shoot in it. And then you just don't need the images in your Google Doc till later. So prioritise the ones that you think are getting best done this week. So maybe it's one of the ones in low light or artificial light that doesn't rely on the weather. But something you need to be aware of is just after half term, the same as we did in the quarantine project, I want you to send me the best image from each shoot and we'll put together a collaborative gallery there as well so you can see all those results together. I'll put a copy of this checklist on the blog for you guys so you've got it easily accessible, but also make sure you really work your way back through the last PowerPoint so you could watch the video again as a recap. You might also think about being flexible on your ideas, so if you've just thought of one shoot that you wanted to do and you weren't really considering other options, so say you've only thought about Blue Hour Portrait, what else could you shoot across that week as well? So like I was saying at the beginning, you're not limiting yourself too much. You're thinking about different options, so maybe you could have like pairs in the set that would work together, and you're not giving yourself too much of a challenge to basically get really stressed out if that one idea that you had didn't work. So if you've got any questions about your shoots or you feel stuck, make sure you email me to ask me. But from now on, all I want you doing is putting your practical work into your Google Docs, and there's an example of that there for you to use, so you can follow that link. And that this is your reward for working so hard. Now it's just practical work and just showing me those practical results.